Welcome back to another episode of All Things Marriage.
Yes.
We're your hosts, Derek
and Crystal Robinson. Welcome, guys.
And today we're going to be discussing the topic of
intimacy versus sex. Yeah.
But before we get into that, we, as always, want to ask you guys, want to thank you first and foremost for all of your support, all of the likes, all of the views that's been coming our way. We love it. We appreciate it. We want to say thank you. And we want to ask that if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
If you see something you like, or if you have some questions about, the topic that we're discussing, drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button.
Yeah, interact with us, guys. We want to know what you guys think.
Right, and share our video. Right. Hit the subscribe button for all the notifications, all of that, the whole deal.
Right.
And that's it. So yeah, let's jump right in.
Yeah, so love
versus sex.
Well, intimacy versus sex. So you just want to say that part?
Versus sex.
Gotcha.
Because they're different.
They are very different. They go hand in hand. They work together.
Okay.
One can lead to the other. Honestly, whichever one comes first can lead to the other.
We'll cross that bridge in a minute.
We will. But they go hand in hand.
Okay.
So when you hear intimacy, what is it that comes to mind?
Right. So starting off with the ever popular, all famous definition. Right?
Okay.
And this is a me definition. This is not an official definition.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you Webster just because.
Oh my gosh. So for me, intimacy is interaction, communication, connection between two people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sensual connection, but a close personal connection.
Right. Emotional.
Right.
Not psychology. But emotional.
Personal.
It's personal, yeah.
Personal connection between two or more people. Right?
Intimacy can be between you and your partner. It can be in between you and a family member, a friend,
family member, co-worker.
Right.
Because again, it's a personal connection.
Right. It's a personal connection.
So that being said, when I think about intimacy, of course we always go to the sitting on the couch cuddling type of things, the staring deeply into each other's eyes,
right?
The gazing, the long looks, and that's kind of what we think of when we think of intimacy. But again, for me, intimacy is like a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like this is intimate.
Right.
I mean, we're sharing it with with all of you guys.
Right.
But it's still a level of intimacy. Right? Yeah. So what you got?
I would agree with you. That connection that two individuals have, it's a connection that transcends time and space. We don't have to necessarily be together or around each other, but we still are connected in a way. We still are thinking warm thoughts and concerned about the other individual. Right. We are still intimacy. An example would be, I know you like for your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to be a specific way.
Right. Don't you add too much peanut butter.
Right. So that's the act of doing it. Right. How I know that you desire is an example of intimacy, or
knowing someone intimately.
Right. Is a product of the intimacy that we share.
Right.
I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because I know that makes you happy. I'm going to send you flowers because I know that's going to make you happy. It doesn't do anything necessarily for me, but because I have that intimate knowledge that you adore those things, and I'm going to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So sex. What's sex?
I don't know.
That's a problem. That is we clearly don't have to define sex.
No, we really don't have to define sex. I would say any sexual activities can be considered sex.
Right.
I know a lot of people think that sex is one thing.
Right.
You know,
but,
intercourse.
Yeah, but sex
has different variations.
Right. Right.
Yeah, of activities. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Sex connects you. It does.
Right.
It connects you on an emotional level in certain cases, depending on how you receive the sex or engage in the sex. It can make intimacy happen.
Right.
And that's a lot of the times where men and women kind of differ.
Right. And that's why I said we'll get to that in a bit.
Right.
Here's my issue with sex and intimacy as it pertains to one another. Like, people as a whole have a tendency to merge the two together, right? We say sex is intimacy, intimacy is sex. I can concur that sex is a form of intimacy.
Yeah, it's not intimacy.
However,
itself.
It is the final form, if you will. It's its last transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you Dragon Ball Z fans out there, those anime fans out there, you understand that. Quick anime reference. Usually the villain, and then a lot of times the hero as well, comes into a battle and they're in one state, right? And so they start interacting with each other, they fighting or whatever, and then like someone says something, #Frieza line, this isn't even my final form, and then it's just like boom, a whole new person pops out. Like they look different, they act different, they have different set of abilities, and then the other person says, well, wasn't my final form either. Boom, transform. And then you transform again, then and then boom, you're finally at your final form, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, intimacy and sexuality is like that, where sex is the final form of intimacy. But you can't just like jump into the final form. Right. You gotta take the Goku method. Okay. You gotta start off at your base form, and then you go Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, drop back down to base form, go to Super Saiyan God.
Pause. I don't understand either, guys.
Well, the point is, it's a levels thing, right?
Yes, but you see how he's talking, and it's just like, yes, I'm telling you, you understand me. I don't know.
To all my anime fans out there, they understand. They got me.
Of course, but we have other people who, like me, aren't anime fanatics. Okay. So I'm just like, okay, I understood the concept. There are levels.
Okay, fine. Let's use sports. Okay. Basketball. You start out the beginning of the game, and no one is going, excuse my terminology, but no one's going balls to the wall. At the first stage, in the first quarter, you build and you test the waters and you see what the other team is doing, and then in the second quarter rolls around.
We're doing, we're flirting. That's what you're.
Sure, we'll say flirting. Flirting is the first stage. Jeez.
Got you. Let him know that y'all understand what he was saying either.
Anyway, the point of the matter is, sex should be, and this is my opinion. This is the biblical stance on this thing. Let's get that clear. Okay. This is from the biblical perspective. Sex is the final form of intimacy. Sex doesn't come until after you've gotten to know the person, you've courted the person, and we're talking, from an intimate man-woman relationship. You've courted the person and you've grown, whatever, you did the engagement and all that other stuff. Then you get married.
Is that biblical though?
Is what biblical?
The courting.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
We'll have to discuss that later, because the way we be taught is you get married and then you figure everything else out later.
No, you figure everything sexually out, sure. Yeah. But all of it is.
No, I'm not saying I disagree with you.
Okay.
There, some people be like, what? We don't court.
Anyway, the point of the matter is, sex is the final stage. Right. Intimacy, to me, it's not a flip-flop back and forth.
Okay.
Intimacy leads into sex.
Okay.
Sex does not lead into intimacy. Right. If sex is leading into intimacy for you, in your situationship, we'll call it that,
you may find some stuff out.
You're in disorder. You're in dysfunction.
Right.
And
I can agree with that.
And you kind of lead yourself into some issues.
Right.
But that's besides the point. That's kind of, well, it's not really besides the point. But, you know, the idea is we like to jump into sex and jump into the sex end of things, right, and say, oh, you know, we really connected on a different level. Right. And like realistically, you should have been like connected on a different level before you got to the sex part, right? Right. You're supposed to have been intimate with each other for quite some time before sex becomes a part of the equation. Yeah. Like you're supposed to have been intimate with each other and married to each other before sex even becomes a part of the equation, right?
And intimacy doesn't stop. You know what I'm saying? Once you get married or have sex, it doesn't stop. It's
it's perpetual.
Thing that, you know, we fall deeper in love. We fall deeper in intimacy, right, in oneness with one another. And I think that's honestly what intimacy is oneness.
Yeah, it is.
And yes, like I said earlier, we can be intimate with different individuals. Right. But total intimacy with your partner is different than intimacy with your mother, or your father, your sibling, or your friend. Because you have a mindset alike, because you were raised with these people, you were taught by these people. There's going to be a level of intimacy. Right. But with your spouse, with your partner, there's a deeper level of intimacy that is occurring.
Yeah, because truth be told, like, and I use this as an example. My best friend Jamar, we've talked about him several times.
We didn't name drop though.
It's all good. He know I love him. My best friend Jamar, my other best friend Thomas, you know, we know each other on a very deep level. You know what I'm saying? Like I know certain behavioral patterns that Jamar is going to display, depending on whether he's happy, he's sad, you know, whatever the case may be. Same thing with my buddy Thomas, and them the same way with me. They know if I'm in a good mood, this is how I'm going to be acting. If I'm not in a good mood, this is how I'm going to respond to things. You know, they know what foods I like to eat at what time. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know these things about me. Right. But because we have an intimate relationship, those are my best friends. Right. You know, but there's a different, but I haven't been sexual with them. Right. You know what I mean? Like, we don't, that's a whole different topic. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the same type of intimacy, right, that you and I share. Right. It's a different, so and that's why I said there are levels. Right. You know, you gotta go Super Saiyan.
Right, because even when Super Saiyan, even when we have our best friends and we have, you know, siblings that we can discuss things with, we can talk to them about, they don't know all of our deepest fears. They don't know, honestly, a level of deepest fears, because we may not know each other's every deepest fear or desire or want, because sometimes they may be here today, gone tomorrow, so they're not worth discussing, you know, stuff like that. But we know more about each other than the other people, it should always honestly be that way. Your partner should know more about you than anybody else. Right. Yeah. We cross the lines of, you know, who's supposed to be more intimate with us when our partner doesn't know more than somebody else.
Right. And that being said, I do believe our partner should know more about us than anyone else, to a degree, right? Because let's just say I'm dating Jenny, and you know, that's why I said Jenny. I'm dating Jenny, and you know, I'm getting to know Jenny, and Jenny is just learning my ins and outs, and vice versa. And then Jenny and I no longer work out. Well, if we've grown to be, but me and Jenny were best friends. Like me and Jenny been homies since forever. Too much intimacy in the wrong setting turns into a bad thing, because then now Jenny's been my best friend for like 10 years.
Right. Then
me and Jenny date for a year, things don't work out, but because we were inappropriately intimate, and Jenny knows too many things about me that maybe she shouldn't have known prior to me and Jenny being married. Well, now we can't be friends anymore. You know what I mean? Like that. I was
waiting for it. I was waiting for it, because especially with dating somebody else, that relationship probably won't be the same anymore. It can't be the same anymore.
Because
she knows too much.
She knows way too much. And that's why I say there are levels and there are tiers to intimacy.
You're right.
And certain levels of intimacy are reserved for the marital partnership as opposed to the dating partnership and the fiance partnership. As a matter of fact, there's tiers of intimacy that the fiance gains access to that the girlfriend boyfriend doesn't. And
that's why it's a continual thing.
Right.
Because if you again have all the intimacy you want to have with your girlfriend boyfriend and they don't work out,
you in a
pickle when and that's how honestly people get drained, because I've shared so much with the other person.
The word is soul tie.
Yeah, it's because I've poured so much of myself into this partnership that honestly I saw red flags everywhere. And I just kept on trying to make it work, And now that I'm actually with somebody who I know that we're heading to marriage, and or it could not even necessarily I know that we're heading to marriage. This is somebody who wants to marry me. I can't give you all of me because I've put up blockages and barriers because of this last relationship.
So that being said, let's jump real quick into building intimacy, developing or strengthening your intimacy appropriately, right? And this may be a topic that spans a little while, but let's jump in real quick. So from the perspective of friendship, like we're just buddies. How do we build intimacy as homies?
As just friends?
Yeah. Or rather, what's the limiters on the homie circle intimacy?
Limiters. Let me try to figure out an exact example or definite answer to that. Because instance, my best friend. I've known my best friend since we were both 5. So I can say that there are a lot of things that we've experienced in life together. Relationships that we've been in and having conversations about those relationships. School, we have family death, all of those things that we've discussed and we've talked about, people that we disliked, people that disliked us. All of those things are built into that relationship. We've been friends since we were 5. We're now 32. That's a lot of history. We don't talk about stuff regarding relationships as far as like our sexual interactions with, we don't go into details about, girl, let me tell you this and did it. We don't do that.
Right.
And I've really found that funny because a lot of people that I've talked to, like from college, it was like, oh, y'all haven't done this as friends. Y'all ain't been in this situation. I'm just like, no, we haven't. There are limits to me and my best friend's relationship.
Right.
That's my sister. She calls my family's moms and aunts and uncles and vice versa. Her aunts are my aunts. All of those things.
Right.
But as far as certain conversations, we can't have.
And that's interesting because you know my buddy Jamar, he and I lived together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were roommates. Mm-hmm. We shared a place together, and so we had those conversations. Mm-hmm. Now the difference is, I mean, he's met my family. Mm-hmm. I've met his mom. You know, but we don't. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not going to his place. He's not coming over to my place. So, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not. We don't have that connection. Mm-hmm. But as far as the sharing in our experiences or lack thereof or whatever the case may be, I mean, that's what we do.
Right.
Because again, we live together.
Right. And mind you, I dated him when they lived together. So I understand. I understand the dynamic of their relationship.
Yeah. And so I say that because you said something that was really interesting. The fact of sharing experiences builds the intimacy.
Yeah.
And the type of experiences you share in dictate the level of intimacy. Mm-hmm. You and your friend, since you haven't name dropped, I'm not going to say her name.
My best friend is Shamir.
Okay, boom.
Everybody knows that.
But no, the type of experiences that you two shared in yields a friendship where you don't discuss certain things. Not like it's a rule that you can't.
Right.
You just don't.
It's not like, girl, don't talk to me about that. No. You just
don't. Whereas me and Jamar, I mean, it's fair game. You know what I mean? Not in the sense of, like you said, oh, let me tell you what I did tonight. But if we're talking and something comes up, I mean, it just comes up. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the key for any tier, understanding the experiences that you have in common and that you share in commonality, and the level of the experience dictates the level of intimacy for that individual relationship. Right. And so again, certain experiences I'm not going to have with Jamar that I may have with you, or that I may have with one of my blood siblings. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or with a parent. You know, certain experiences, certain scenarios we're just not going to be in. Yeah. And so again, it's that whole leveling up thing. The closer you are to me, the closer the relationship or the type of relationship is going to dictate. Like for example, if I'm stuck on the side of the road, you know, car breaks down, whatever, I'll call Jamar. Like, hey, yo, you know, I'm stuck. How close are you? You think you can come swing through? But if, you know, I'm, I don't know, sick or something like that, Jamar's not the person that I'm gonna call. You know, I'm sick in bed. You know, I got COVID. Jamar's not the person I'm calling for COVID. You know what I mean? Because that's not the experience that we share.
I know his best friend. I just thought of stuff that he would say.
That he would say, right? Like, he's not the person.
It's just like, you know, if you're sick, you don't want to call him.
That's not, like, you may call him, but only because
you need a laugh.
You need a laugh. Like I'll give this quick story. A year or so back, about a year and a half ago, you know, Crystal and I, we were in a really bad car accident. It was a terrible car accident. Could have been very, very tragic, but you know, God has His hand on everything, right? And so, you know, we get out of the accident, and you know, we're in the hospital. Everything's checked, you know, coming up, you know, clear. We're good to go, whatever. And so, of course, I called my buddy Jamar, just like, man, you'll never guess what happened to me. You know, had a car accident, boom. Told him everything, you know, told him what happened. And it wasn't are you okay? You know, like, he had two questions. The first question was, well, what about the car? Like, is your car okay? Question two, do you have any dope scars? There was no, are you okay? There was no, what can I do? Now, mind you, I know for a fact that if I said, Jamar, I need like car's busted, whatever, I can't walk, this and that and the third. Can I stay at your place until, you know, he's like, yeah, come on over.
Right.
You know, whatever you need me to do, I got you. But his first statement was like, do you have any dope scars?
Yeah. And I could even say for the first statement, the first question, he was concerned because he knew that we only had one car.
Let's be clear. The scar comment was first.
Oh, well.
The two things he asked about was car and scar, but the scar was first.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's just to say, like, I'm like certain things you just know, or because of your experiences, you share certain things with different people based on that level of intimacy.
Yeah.
Right? And so, for me, hearing what you said, the way to grow the intimacy is to share in experiences or change the experiences that you're sharing.
Right, because they have to be, I'm not going to say they have to be meaningful, but they, a lot of the times they are meaningful experiences. You know, like the experiences that I named, you know, we've gone through death and we've gone through marriage and we've gone through college.
Right.
All of these things we've talked about careers and what we want to do.
Right.
So we have all of that experience with us that sets our level of intimacy. Like I could call her anytime and be like, yo, I need you to do, roll out with me.
Yeah.
I need you to roll out with me. And she's going to roll out with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Vice versa. If she say roll out, now I might have to pray first and be like, Shamir, you really sure?
What we doing? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I've honestly, before I call her, I probably have already prayed for her to roll out on my behalf.
Right.
But that's honestly the difference between us.
Yeah.
She gon' ride, and I'm gonna pray first, and then I'm gonna ride.
Right. But yeah, so and we don't want to drag it on, but and like I said, it's a deep discussion because again, I do want to eventually get to building the intimacy in your more personable relationships, in your partner relationships, right? And how to do that, and that leads into the discussion of the love languages, all of those things, right?
Well, we got to do a little bit more piece on sex.
Yeah. Well, because that comes
video
into
was intimacy versus sex.
Well, the oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but I just don't want to drag it. You know what I'm saying?
The intimacy part. I think we got it. Yeah, you got it. Thumbs up. Got it.
Anywho, I guess that'll be a wrap for today. We'll come back at you next week with a little bit more discussion on intimacy
versus sex.
We got to get the versus sex in there, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it's so funny, but
because we're children.
No, I am a teenager.
Well, I'm probably still 5. No, I'm like 12. I'll give it 12. I'm preteen. Anywho, that's a wrap for this week, guys. Be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe, bell icon so you can get all the notifications on all our new content coming out. And
we'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Intimacy versus sex.
Okay.